So the other day I was watching the end fight sequence at the end of Taken 2 because I like those movies. And although the scene is okay, it just doesn't seem as intense as the fight scene that is at the end of the first movie. And I was trying to figure out why that is. And I think that what's going on is that in the first Taken movie, that last fight sequence, and many fight sequences in that movie, but the last one in particular, is inside of a confined space where the characters are able to break glass on each other and slam each other's heads into the walls and all this kind of stuff. Whereas at the end of Taken 2, they're in this open air kind of bathhouse area where you don't get any of that claustrophobia. And it started making me realize some things. I started to have some observations about other fight scenes in movies that, generally speaking, the most intense fight sequences are in some kind of enclosed area, like a kitchen or a bathroom or a hallway, something where you don't have anywhere to, you can't run away. So when you're watching it, you get the sense that it's very believable that these characters would be fighting like this, because if you were in that situation, you wouldn't want to run away from the other person. You wouldn't want to turn your back on them because you may not be able to open the door in time or get through the window or whatever. So it's more believable that you would just stand and fight, you know. Whereas in an open air environment, if you were outside, you know, in the woods or in a public park or something like that, you'd be more likely to just run away from somebody than to fight them. So that's why scenes that are outside, it takes on a different meaning. It's not this immediate threat that you're having to deal with. It becomes more a sense of pride for the participants. So usually whenever there's a fight outside, it's constructed as a duel. It can be a duel with guns, or it can be a duel with swords, or with fists, but none of the participants in those kind of fight scenes are surprised by the other person. There's no surprise attack that results in a fight scene. Everybody that's in a duel knows why they're there, and they're there because of their own sense of honor or their own sense of pride, which is very different than most of the scenes that take place indoors, which have nothing to do with pride. It's just one person got the jump on the other person. And I was also realizing that in sports, there's a reason why you have boxing rings and MMA cages, because of the same principle of confined spaces making you more likely to fight. It seems more natural and more believable. Whereas if you had a UFC fight out on a big basketball court, you know, kind of like those karate tournaments where they have the padded floors, it just wouldn't have that same sense of intensity if you felt like the participants could just keep backing up and running away. So that same thing that you see in sports, that also works in movies.